Fun fact, people are spending 40% of their food budgets on restaurants despite inflation. So ask yourself this question. Is your digital presence good enough to compete for those dollars? Like it or not, people expect a fast and easy online ordering experience. And we can thank online retailers like Amazon for raising the bar so high. So what does this mean for restaurants? It means rich menu descriptions, photos for every dish, food reviews, and social proof. In other words, PDF menus just don't cut it. The bottom line, your customers want an easy online ordering experience directly from your website. It's Fun Fact Friday here at the Restaurant Growth Show podcast. Today we're talking about fun facts that will help you grow your business. This is episode 5. Growth Show podcast, where we talk about how restaurants can use technology to boost their sales. We've got a lot to talk about in this episode, but first, let's introduce our guests. First, we have Jose Albas, co-founder and chief growth officer at Modern with more than 25 years of online marketing experience. Jose has successfully founded and operated companies in software and hospitality. Jose's passion is to continue to build technology to help restaurateurs grow their businesses. Next, we have Alex Cook, VP of Sales and co-founder of Modern. Alex's experience in the hospitality industry spans 30 years, including 16 years selling POS solutions throughout North America. Alex's deep understanding of consumer behavior led him to pioneer hospitality mobile ordering solutions. Lastly, who am I? Well, my name is Gordon. I am your host, and I am the resident digital marketer at Modern. I run a digital marketing program called 90 Days to Success at Modern, where I teach restaurateurs how to sell their food online through digital marketing. Gentlemen, how are we doing this fine Friday?
Great. I have to tell you, my cup is full. It's been such a good week.
The cup is full. Does the cup runneth over?
No, my cup is just perfectly full. Lots of love, lots of face-to-face meetings. It's great to be out there and back again, seeing our staff. My cup is full. It's been a great week.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. That's good energy. That's good. There's good vibes all around. Jose, what's happening with you?
Great. It's been a full week, and looking forward to the weekend to recharge, regenerate every cell of my body and mind, and go back at it next week.
My goodness. Jose's got the vibes. Alex has the vibes. I just want a little bit of a sidebar here. I had a really great meeting with a friend of mine yesterday. I did mention to you guys before, I had a great meeting with my friend Beth, who is an acupuncturist here in Victoria. And she was telling me about this reoccurring content that she was posting across her social media, and it was Fun Fact Friday. So I borrowed that. Beth, you're amazing. I love you. You're great. But I borrowed your Fun Fact Friday theme. So I'm shouting you out. And if anybody in Victoria needs a really talented acupuncturist, check out Beth Cummings. Google her name. She'll come right up in Victoria, BC, Canada. Now that we've got that out of the way, Jose, let me ask you what your fun fact is today. We'll come back to my fun fact that I mentioned at the top of the show. But Jose, why don't you tell me about your fun fact?
Well, mine is a really it's a fun fact, and it's a stat that I've experienced deeply. And that's why it's one of my favorites. And it's comes from the National Restaurant Association, where they surveyed and it is that 70% of consumers will rather order directly from the restaurants than from third-party delivery apps if they were given the chance to do so. And why it's so fun for me is because I get to see it happening, and it has become a benchmark. I know, in other words, I know it's possible. I've seen it. We've done it with merchants. It's fun to see how it shifts the game for the locations and the restaurants in general, chains that have this or that achieve it. And there's ways of doing it. There's strategies. It takes, sometimes it takes a little bit of an effort in the beginning, and then it just kind of flows into that. Some other times, if the brand has already been well established, well known, and there is that loyalty, that recognition, then it happens so quick that that literally is like seeing the orders where they come from, literally moving from the third parties all the way to a moment where you can see the third parties are actually competing for the 30% of the orders that come online. That is amazing. And when through the pandemic, and if you're not paying attention, you actually end up with the other way around, with that same proportion but backwards. It's kind of like an 80-20 rule, but it's like it's like 30-70 rule. And instead of getting 70% of the orders through third-party delivery apps, if you do it well and have your own online ordering system that you own control and can do certain things with, then that you can actually shift it, and then you can see those third parties. So imagine that the amount of profits that remain with the restaurant. Imagine the amount of great experience and control for the restaurant for the customers, and the customers love it. Like you said, it is because they love the experience that they come back, and they rather order directly from the restaurant than through the third-party delivery apps. And then you see that 30% is still big, but it becomes a source of growth where the proportion, when you maintain it like that, they continue to be the source of more business, but then you control that 70%. So it is like a sign of growth, of really consistent, powerful growth that translates not just in revenue, but most importantly in profits.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean, that was really well said. And I couldn't agree more. The fact of the matter is that ask your neighbor, ask your mom, ask your brother, ask your friend, ask your colleague. They would much rather order directly from a restaurant, because it's well known that these third-party delivery companies are charging an arm and a leg to restaurants that already have a very thin margin. So they would much rather go there and go directly to the website and order, directly from their favorite restaurant, because they've got the food that they love. They've got the loyalty programs that they want to accrue points at. These are, it's just, that's what people want.
The consumer gets better pricing, and they actually have more control over the experience as well. So even when it's delivery, even with white label delivery, like in the whole sense, it's just extremely powerful. It's extremely true, and it's a benchmark that it's achievable. It is just amazing, because the amount of third-party delivery orders doesn't really drop that much. It's just that you start growing the other piece, which is the most important.
I've got a couple other fun facts that sort of build off of that I found here. More than half of restaurant leaders say their businesses have returned to pre-pandemic levels or better. So we're seeing, and I say this all the time, I'm knocking on wood as I say this. Are we moving past the pandemic? Are we post-pandemic? That officially hasn't been announced, besides President Biden sort of putting his foot in his mouth on 60 Minutes on Sunday. That was kind of silly. I don't know why he really said that, because the scientists haven't declared that whatsoever. But we are sort of trying to move back into normality, and restaurant owners are saying that they have returned to pre-pandemic levels or better. So there's some optimism in the air. There's obviously inflation. There's still a lot of trouble with the economy, but truth be told, we are on a track to returning to normality.
We met for lunch today, the three of us, and one of the things we were talking about is how great it is to be out in person in a dining establishment having lunch, and how we're getting out of that 2-year lull that we've kind of been ingrained now, working from home. And we're getting out slowly, but now for me, it's like getting back into lunch routines, getting back into meeting people face to face, colleagues, partners, local businesses, not just in the hospitality industry, but all sorts of community minded, like minded professionals, with their chamber or whatnot. And it's great to see. So when you take a look at the levels coming back from the post pandemic, I think it's kind of led by the younger generation. They're the first ones to get out. I'm 2 years older now than I was pre-pandemic. I felt like I
Yeah.
aged like 10 years in that process because it's taken me longer to get back to those pre-pandemic mindset that I think the younger generation were much more sociable than I am now. And as we start to get more and more people comfortable getting out, that those numbers are just going to increase. So it's so wonderful to see everybody out engaged, having fun. We just had a huge music event in Victoria last weekend. Tens of thousands of people all out socializing and dancing and reconnecting again. I say reconnecting because that's such a big part of it. We're reconnecting with old friends, faces, people, meeting new people again. And it's been really hard to meet new people
Yeah, well,
over the last 2 years.
it's definitely been difficult. And shout out to Rifflandia, the organizers. What an amazing event that was, acoustically, visually. Everyone who attended was just in great spirits. There was no drama. There was no, I just really had a really fun time. And thanks to Jose for the free ticket, man. That was awesome. But we had a good time. Probably drank too much beer, but hey, it was good. It was a good time.
It was a Friday, so it's all good.
All right. Well, back to our fun facts. Alex, I know that you've got a fun fact there. Why don't you share your fun fact with us?
I'm checking this out. It's a great exercise because there's so many different facts. In fact, even while we were talking, I kind of went back and forth from a few different ones, but I'm going to stick with the original. And that's that 60% of US consumers, 60% order delivery or takeout once a week. So you think of, in the United States, we're talking over 300 million consumers ordering food, 60% of them at least once a week. Now, I have a second or part two, if you want, of my stats, which is 31% say they use these third-party delivery services at least twice a week. And I throw that one in because I think that's where the opportunity is. Just to carry on to what Jose was talking about, how can we convert those third-party delivery orders to your own branded app and capitalize on those 60% that are ordering once a week or twice a week now with the delivery side to come to your establishment compared to the competitor who's down the road?
Absolutely. Jose, let's unpack that. What are some good strategies that restaurants can use? They can use at the location level to use third party as a lead generation, as a onboarding for new customers. What are some tactics?
Well, there's a few. I would say that one of the most common now is the dropping the little rack card in the third party delivery orders, inviting them through a QR code or just a link even, or even just a call to action will make a difference so that the next time they order directly from them. Ideally, what you want to do, because like we talked about last week, dynamic pricing allows you to give an advantage for those that actually order directly from you and giving them an extra incentive while they're already saving the delivery commissions, the tip, like so many fees and things that come through when you place an order through any of these third party to the consumer, let alone then the charges to the restaurant. Everybody, the ecosystem is much more healthier for everyone. So once they learn, it's easier to then just keep ordering directly. The benefit is pretty evident. It's, sometimes could be anything from $10 to $20, $25 sometimes.
Exactly. So some print marketing, a rack card or a little, 5x8 postcard, some print marketing thrown directly into the takeout bag or the delivery bag that comes from third party, right, is a great option. I've also seen a lot of restaurants use print marketing in terms of banners in store, tent cards on tables, mentioning that, hey, we've got our own online ordering system, scan the QR code here, install the app, order online here, skip the queue, get ahead of the line, order ahead. It's all about awareness. And speaking about print marketing from a digital marketer, it's not something that an avenue that I typically like to go down, because to me, it's pretty old school. However, it does work for restaurants, and the more awareness you can bring to your customers now that they're coming back in store, I think that is still an effective tool, on top of mentioning the fact that you have your own online ordering app on your social media, in your email, on paid search, on Facebook ads, letting your customers know, and your potential customers, that you do have online ordering. And the more consistent you are with that message, the more it's going to permeate throughout the community. People are going to understand. And then let's bring it full circle, because we do know that 70% of those people want to order from your first party app, your own online ordering application. We know that. So if they don't know that you have an app, then they're not going to order from you. They're going to go back to Uber Eats. It's all about awareness and doing the minimum, letting your customers know, letting the community know, like, hey, we've got our own online ordering app. We'd prefer you to use that instead of these big companies that are charging us 30%, and we're making no profit on those.
Can I share a story with a conversation I had just before this podcast?
Of course.
So I had a gentleman reach out to me over the weekend, and he had used our solution in another restaurant and wanted to learn more about how he could use it in his pub. And his big concern right now, he's got 2 levels. And on the upper level, there's times, because of the staff shortage, that people just don't find a server. They can't see them. So it's not like you can wave across the room and say, hey, I'm over here, can you come see me? Because they're just not visible. Kind of that out of sight, out of mind mentality. So one of the things we talked about is adding, QR codes. So as we went out for lunch today, well, there's already a QR code on the table. So one thing the pandemic has taught us is that QR codes are going to take us to a digital menu. Then when we take a look at digital menus, well, how much further can you go with that? Well, now we have a fully interactive digital menu where I can see the menu, but I can go one step further. If I can't find my server, we call this a hybrid model, I can still place an order. So one thing that was really interesting with the conversation, and he was very important to mention and to point out, that he did not want to replace any servers. In fact, if he could, he would add more. But the reality, and this is what we're staying in, is when we have these conversations with the restaurateurs, the reality is there's a labor shortage. So how can we be a solution? How can we help out restaurants and actually provide, I would say, even a better solution than, and I'm careful saying that, a better solution having a hybrid model. So now we're talking about the QR code. This is where we could go a little bit further with a tent card, but the pandemic has taught us already that QR code on the table is enough. Maybe with a little message, order now, and we can keep those bills going. So now the restaurant, they see they're going to be able to increase their volume of sales 4 times over what they have. This is coming from him. Just on the fact that they have a digital server whenever they need it. If the server's around, the server can still manage the table. The server will still bring the items to the table, still have that relationship, still get the tip. So we're answering a lot of questions and concerns and fears from restaurateurs, because restaurant industry has always been about personal service with human beings. So if we're struggling finding more people to work, how can we emulate that service and still provide them that level that they're looking for and wanting, and improving it one little bit more? So when I go to that new menu, now I get so much more information. So as we see, they typically will get a PDF version of their paper menu. So there's no images, there's some description, but not a ton. There's not as much information. I can't place an order. So that's why I say we're moving into an interactive menu now.
I can't claim a coupon.
You can't claim a coupon. You can't. I tell you that a PDF menu has little to no SEO value, right? So an interactive menu with ingredients and facts about nutrition. All of those things are going to actually help with your SEO, help you rank higher. My original statement, from the top of the show is the customers expect an intuitive and more interactive online ordering experience anyways.
Before we
Let's
go,
put it this way:
before we go too
go ahead,
far,
Jose.
before we go too far into online, I think it's important to share a couple of more ideas that come from with the same principle. So I think that a richer experience online when you're already getting their attention, they're going to look at your food. It's such an opportunity that now, especially with QR codes, which is an old technology that finally is being used properly in North America. It's very exciting. And I think that another way that a restaurant took that those that are, for example, that comes to mind, those restaurants that are close to a density of offices and in a downtown or a mall or where there's a lot of businesses around, they have an opportunity that they walk in traffic with a huge QR code that can be read from the distance and a beautiful call to action that says, keep up with our coupons or keep up with our offers. And everybody already knows what to do with the QR code. And if you pass by and you're making a decision, should I go here for lunch or when we have for there? And then they do a scan and to find out what is it that they're talking about, even if you're not a consideration initially as a restaurant, you will become one. And at that point, there's there you go. Once again, you have an opportunity to display, to offer a discount, a coupon to claim, to try your food, then you to charm them with the food and having them coming back. Then you build a customer that it's going to become loyal and grow your business, and people will share these QR codes, which is the other beautiful thing.
I'll tell you what, as you were saying that, Jose, and I was hating on print marketing, the QR code is bringing back print marketing, because a banner above your, some signage above your shop may not be print marketing per se, that signage, but if you're able to get a QR code up there, people are going to scan that. People will scan that.
Driving by, they'll scan it.
QR codes are bringing back print marketing. I don't think that I would ever have said that, but here we are.
And and one of the things again that has come from our merchants is that some are starting to actually have campaigns that go in the bag. Basically, this is part of our branding. Boom, logo, slogan for those who have it, QR code, basically call to action. Every bag that goes out, their own orders, the third party, anything that goes out in a bag with them has stamped their brand and the QR code.
Now that we're talking about QR codes and the hybrid model that Alex was talking about earlier, and how it may not be necessarily replacing or wait staff, but sort of supplementing, if you will. And I just wanted to bring up a scenario that I read a little bit earlier that really resonated with me. And that this is not a fun fact. This is kind of a sad fact, unfortunately. So
that's next Friday. Sad Fact Friday.
Next Friday is sad fact. The fact is restaurant turnover is about 75 to 100% each year, and institutional knowledge isn't staying around. It isn't what it used to be. And when I go into a restaurant and they ask me, have you been here before? Can I tell you about the menu? And I've been there 20 times in the past couple of months. That's a bit of a slap in the face, right? Mm-hmm. It's no longer, you're no longer a regular, even though you're in there all the time. And when you've got your online ordering set up in a way that can recognize a return visitor, right, and can give you that VIP experience. Hey, we know you ordered this the last time. Why don't you try a variation of this dish? We know that you like, the beer with your burger and fries. Why don't we, offer you a coupon or some loyalty points here and there? So it's supplementing that VIP experience as well, instead of, say, replacing the wait staff.
Agree.
There's another benefit too, and I was just thinking about this. I golf on Wednesday afternoons, and at the end, we always sit down. We have a couple pints and a bite to eat. But I'm always frustrated because the menu never changes, and the feature sheet is exactly the same every week. And I come into a new month, and I can't wait to see a new feature, and there isn't one. So ideally, I would like to express, I'll say my disappointment, but I'd like to encourage them to be a little more creative with their menus and change it up a little bit. This would also give us the ability to offer feedback. So feedback to the rest, instead of me having to track down the manager, tell a server, because if I tell a server, it's never going to make it in management. Most of the time, they could care less. So I would actually have to track down a manager to pass that information on. There could be a lot more people like me who would feel that way, who again don't want to talk to a manager. They just like, it is what it is, but it's still something that's a little bit disappointing week after week, because you are looking for some creative changes in the menu or whatever the experience is.
Yeah, and I think that's where, social comes into play as well, because everyone's got their phone handy. And when I'm talking to restaurants, I like to tell them, as the food's going out, take a shot of that new dish, because depending on who's on in the kitchen that day, there may be slight variations on each of those dishes, and that's some new content, that's some creative, taking with different combos and with different sides, and even with a different background, creatively, that can sort of spur a little bit of interaction and engagement, and possibly some additional orders too. So the creative aspect of just taking a mobile shot of the food as it's going out the door can offer some variation.
So this one's on pizza. I thought that was quite interesting. Pizza chains, so specifically for pizza, reported an 18% increase in customer spend from online ordering versus phone orders. So being able to increase that average check by up to 18%. We've seen some customers 20% or higher, just because of the way that we can create the experience and the menu orders and the add-ons or suggested sell, makes it a natural progression for increases in average checks. So if I have a pizza and I've got my special pizza that I order, and let's say I'm typically green pepper, mushroom, and ham, but I've got the option to add not just other toppings, but what else? Is it a beverage that I want to add, another side or an appetizer, anything when you think about it? I love Jose. We've talked about this one, I don't know how many times, but if you have a hamburger, chances are you have eggs in inventory. Why wouldn't you have egg as an add-on for your hamburger? Not typically something you see on a menu, but there's $2 that you can add to that particular order just by adding something you have in inventory as a fried egg on a hamburger, which by the way, I love.
Or $2.50 these days.
Or $2.50.
Yeah, it's amazing. I agree. It's the funny thing about that as human beings is that we are always curious, and we always try to take those risks of, how do I improve this? How do I make my burger cheap, richer, and what if right? So if you put the what if possibilities there, the chances are that at some point it's like, oh my God, I'm going to try this variance. Or when someone does and then they share it, which I've gotten, I have a lot of data on that personal experience that people share, consumers, that it's like, usually goes something like, I just love the possibilities. I just love the possibilities. Everything that was there, I just built my most craziest burger I could, or my most craziest version of the specific dish. So I think that giving consumer those possibilities, it's leaving it to them. Like, if they at home could build burgers like that, why not with your super fancy quality recipes, giving them the option of taking them a little bit more like home?
In grocery, we call that an impulse buy, right? And you've got someone who's ordering food already, they're hungry, they want food. And when you make a suggestion like, hey, have you considered adding an egg to your burger? Like,
gravy on the fries. or make your fries into a poutine. You just added $4.50 to your order. Happy to have it. Now happy to pay for it.
Exactly.
And the other interesting thing about that is we know how those impulses work. You're like, yeah, I want it this big. Oh, but I could actually only fit this big. So the size of the order that you request, it may be that you have leftovers, but guess what? Leftovers a lot of the times are another opportunity to enjoy that beautiful experience of your restaurant.
I don't mind leftovers at all. And
Love it.
Alex, you mentioned phone-in orders, and I don't think we haven't talked about the time-saving factor of reducing phone-in orders compared to the online orders, and how that actually saves quite a lot of time, quite a lot of errors. We really haven't talked about that a heck of a lot. And in this labor crunch, that's really, really important to restaurateurs as well.
Day to day, and it's been a busy day, but this happens every day. Talking to different clients, and they're open and sharing with me their experiences. I talked to one today who's been with us for a very long time, and he was telling me that he gets so busy that he has to shut off delivery. But more importantly, what he does is he turns off the phone. It goes to a phone message. You cannot phone the restaurant. If you want to place an order, the only way you could do it is direct you to online ordering. Why? One, he gets a better experience. Two, he's collecting the data. Three, he's able to handle more orders then they can handle 5 orders per one phone call, if not more than that. So it's way more efficient. And also it helps reduce his cost and increases profit. So there's all these benefits, where the traditional phone call is someone who is taking up time. It could be a whole bunch of different questions. There could be language barriers that we mishear the information. So now all of a sudden we make the order wrong. So then we have to remake it, costs us money, it's food thrown in the garbage. There's so many different ways, but it's really interesting as we talk to clients who start to understand how they can better use the system. He's also going through a labor crunch. And so then that's why he shuts off the delivery. He can actually handle more orders in the kitchen, and he picks and chooses. He says, I got my bums in the seats, and I also have those that are actually going to come and pick up the order. But if they want delivery, I'm sorry, I turned it off for now. And then he'll turn it back on during the shoulder season because he's typically right in the heart of the tourist district.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense, because why would you get busy with, it's already expensive to operate it? Why would you get busy with the ones that give you the least margin, least profit margin? You go to the back. Bigger margin that gives me, it just makes sense.
I've got a question for the two of you as we wind down here, because it's been a long week. It's been a wonderful week, but I've got a question for the both of you. I'm hoping you can answer. What would you say to a business out there right now that is turning their nose at online ordering, or doesn't want to go down that route of adding a mobile application, adding the online ordering experience to their website? They're fine with Uber Eats and DoorDash and Skip the Dishes taking all of their online orders.
My first question would be a question back to them is why? I want to better understand their thought process.
Because it's what we've always done. Right.
So at that point there, we got to start changing the conversation. So how can we ask them questions and engage them into a different way of thinking? So if that's always the way it's done, have they ever had an experience? Have they ever ordered online themselves? What has their experience been? Right? What's holding you back from going to and initiating online ordering for your business? There's all sorts of questions. I don't think that I would ever come with a statement that says, here's why you should go with us, or here's why you should switch to online ordering. It's really about understanding the client and them getting to better understand the technology and how it can help them. And that's how, because we're still in early stages right now, and there's still a lot of people who don't even understand the technology they have. So there's still a lot of the Q&A that's going on. And that's why when I say I talk to clients every day, I love talking to clients, because we start to expand the possibilities of their systems, and we're engaging them into future ways on how they can use the system. One of the client or the prospects I was talking to today with the table ordering, He says, well, I don't do a lot of takeout. At the end of the meeting, he's like, I think we can initiate a proper takeout program. So he's starting to see how this can help his business out, not just on the table side, but the takeout. And then, once he gets takeout up and running, then the delivery side. So it is a constant engagement and conversation, because as simple as it seems, this is a really complicated program. Like I challenge anybody from any industry to come in, especially outside of the hospitality, come into online ordering and say they get it right away. No, I guarantee you they won't. And I know that because we've had lots of people who've come and worked with us outside of the industry. They think they understand it, and it takes them 6 months to a year just to fully understand all the possibilities with online ordering, and also how complicated it is to build the infrastructure like this to make it work seamlessly. But most importantly, and I don't want to scare anyone off, we can make it look simple. If I watch Roger Federer play tennis, man, it looks so easy. But anybody knows to play at his level, it's not easy, right? And that's the trick. Is it has to be quick, it has to be simple to use, from the customer's experience, from the operator's experience. It has to be easy to use, easy to understand. But the reality is, there's a lot of moving parts behind there, and there's a lot of different ways that we can set things up. There's a lot of as they learn about the systems, a lot of things we can introduce, modify, change. And that's what we're starting to see, is that this is definitely not a one size fits all approach. And that's why I say, Gordon, that there's no easy answer. There's nothing I would say is this is what you should do. This is really about us understanding our client's industry, or that's not our industry, but that specific restaurant's challenges. And then here's some solutions that we can offer. And here's how we think we can help your business out, and help it by, running a more efficient business, helping increase sales, helping with the marketing side. So here's all these benefits that are tied into this real complex infrastructure, this web of infrastructure, right? Sorry, that's a long-winded answer, but that's my approach to everything.
Yeah,
when it comes to sales.
That's very well said, and it's very much appreciated as well, coming from my side of things. I've been in this space for 2.5 years. I've been in digital marketing and the tech space for 10, and it was not easy. And I came in with a little bit of attitude, going, this is how it needs to go. This is what needs to happen. And I quickly found out that is very complex. Jose, what would you say to businesses that don't want their own online ordering application?
I think I agree with Alex. I think that the conversation would be steered about what has been their experience as clients, and what has been, if they've had online experience as consumers, what has been the closest experience to what the restaurant is. Because sometimes they and I hope that they actually, if they don't, they're charging a lot of money and creating an experience that actually is worth that, so that you couldn't have it on the phone, which I think it's a gap that is just closing as technology gets better. So if they've had an experience with similar, okay, so let me share it with you like this. So you know how, and you have experience with this as well, you would do a consulting about someone that wants to create a website experience, and you tell them, tell me your 3 favorite websites out there, the ones that you admire and love. And they would go around and be like, oh yeah, these ones. Well, because everybody has, most people have placed orders online. And sometimes you may have either try to, if the competition does it, you may try it out to see if it works. If someone close to it, then you the same. So I would ask them, which are your 3 favorite experiences, and is there any that is closer or similar to your restaurant operation? Like if it's fine dining, have you ever seen any restaurant that uses it? And they may say yes, they may say no, but I would try to maybe have one, like for example, one of ours that do, and bring them to they are using it for a reason, because it actually works. It's just how it operates and making it work really well.
One thing that I would tell a business, an enterprise, whether it's multi-unit or a single location business that says they don't want to go down the road of online ordering, I would ask them, what are your competitors doing? And a lot of the
Oh, I
time,
changed my answer, Gordon. I want to go with your answer. Yours is a lot shorter and more to the point and probably a better answer.
most of the time, these restaurants aren't aware of what their competitors are doing, and they're not doing that market research. And that's one of the first things that I do is I go, let's go check out your competition. Let's see what they're doing. And guess what? They're switching to online ordering. One last fun fact for you guys. It is Friday, and that is a fact. And we're going to wind down the show. I want to thank Alex. I want to thank Jose. I want to thank everybody that showed up and tuned in to listen to the Restaurant Growth Show podcast. This was episode 5. Thank you all for showing up. Have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next week. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.